Time to see who has forgotten the face of their father. Here are 19 reasons to watch The Dark Tower. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Dave Musson, at Dave Musson on Instagram, and this is the place where I talk to you about all things Stephen King. In this video, we're continuing our walk through the movies and adaptations of Stephen King's works, and we're going to look in particular at a big one, 2017's movie adaptation of The Dark Tower. Yep, we finally got to rip this particular band-aid off. So we'll get to that in a moment, but first, just a couple of quick plugs for you. So, you can check out my collection of short stories, Once More Around the Sun, which won some awards in 2024. Link is in the description. Also there, you'll find a link to my range of Stephen King themed band shirts. I would show you one, but it's really cold while I'm recording here, so I need my lovely rainbow jumper on. And lastly, if you like what I'm doing on this channel, you can become a member, you can become a constant viewer, get early access to regular videos, exclusive access to special members-only videos, some fun emojis, and a bunch of other things as well. Obviously, a nice warm feeling of just supporting your favourite Stephen King creator. That's me, by the way. Link, again, is in the description. Okay, let's talk Dark Tower. So as I said, this is a big one. 2017's movie of The Dark Tower, starring Idris Elba as Roland Deschain, Matthew McConaughey as the Dark Man. This is a movie that constant readers were waiting years for. So, the big question, of course, was that wait worth it? Is this movie any good? Let's find out, shall we? Now, this one is available to rent in loads of places, including Amazon and Apple TV, and if you're worried about spoilers, then don't be. Anything that might ruin a first time watch for you, I will cluster behind a spoiler alert, so you can just find the timestamp for the outro in the description and skip ahead and not have anything ruined for you. Otherwise, you can watch the whole thing and enjoy reliving this movie with me. Okay, here we are then. I do not give 19 reasons to watch this movie with my head. Those who have done that with their head have forgotten the face of their father. I give my 19 reasons with my heart, my mouth, and my YouTube channel. Let's go. Dark Tower. Right, headline reason to watch this then. Do you want to just watch a car crash? Like, seeing something get completely wrong? Well, this is the movie for you. Trying to compress the entire Dark Tower series into an 84-minute movie, while also trying to make it a sort of sequel to the Dark Tower books, and generally just making a shoddy film from front to back. It's all here. I'm not even that big a fan of the Dark Tower, as long-term viewers of this channel will know. And yet, this movie pisses me off immensely. Now, this one has actually quite an interesting movie. It was first optioned back in 2007 by J.J. Abrams and Damon Lindelof, who are the guys behind Lost, and this was just after Lost had finished. Now, anyone who's watched Lost will know that those guys are big Stephen King fans, so they were initially pumped to get the rights for this. There's a train going past. Train! But after a while, they realised quite what a big task it would be, and they eventually let it go, partly because they didn't want to go from one massive project, Lost, into another one, but also they acknowledged that they were huge fans of Stephen King and of The Dark Tower, and they were worried about getting it wrong. So they quite sensibly stepped away and said, no, somebody else can have this particular poison chalice. A wise move. So after that, the rights went to Ron Howard, and what Ron Howard was planning was probably the most interesting option we could have had here. He wanted to do 3 movies, so a trilogy of Dark Tower movies, but with those gaps, fill them in with 2 series as well to keep the story going and get the backstory all in there. Yes, that's the kind of treatment it needs, but alas, it still didn't happen. Which of course takes us to this one, which was first picked up in 2015 and then actually started happening, ultimately coming out in 2017. And we have what is basically a piece of crap. This movie, it's just so frustrating. It makes the 2024 Salem lot look patient and well thought out. Okay, so I will admit some of the action sequences here are pretty good. And when we get the Tet Corporation logo right at the very start of the movie, I was at the very least interested. Like, what is going on here? But it's all so watered down. And that's the problem with this. They're trying to hit a PG-13 audience. So they're having to really strip back the story, take away a lot of its claws, and the result is something that's just completely off-putting to constant readers, but also is not interesting enough to hook that YA audience that they were going for. So it just fails on all fronts. Now, something I do actually like about this movie is the filming locations they use. So they shot a lot of this in South Africa. And as you'll see when you watch the movie, it looks spectacular. Like, it's a very, very acceptable version of Midworld for me. Those locations look like another world. So some points there for sure. So let's talk about the cast. Matthew McConaughey as the Dark Man. This should have worked. Like, he looks terrific. But his actual parts, like, sheesh, man. He just still walks around smirking a lot and then just says things to people like, stop breathing, kill each other. He's just bland. And he sucks. Talking bland, how about Tom Taylor as Jake Chambers? Again, looks wise, brilliant. He's a great capture of what I had in my head from the stories. But he just spends this movie kind of looking and being pretty confused. And everyone talks about his shine, but we don't see any real glimpse of why he's quite so special. I reckon if this Jake had turned up in the books, then old Blue Eyes Roland would have just shot him in the head. So Roland then, Idris Elba, is the only one who comes out of this with anything close to something resembling credit. He gives a good performance here, and I really like him as the gunslinger. I think he looks powerful, he looks imposing, he looks world-weary. Some of his action shots are great, and yeah, he works. I would have never have thought to go for Idris Elba as the gunslinger. But having seen this movie, like, I totally see it now. And also, I love that the casting of him absolutely wound up all the racist idiots. Right? Oh my God, did the book say he's supposed to look like Clint Eastwood? Grow up. It's an adaptation. Idris Elba is great. Deal with it. Lastly, before spoilers, one thing we can give this movie praise for is its own self-confidence. This movie was convinced it was getting at least one sequel. Like, if we can channel some of that into our own lives, the possibilities are endless, friends.
I do not aim at my head. He who aims at his head has forgotten the face of his father. I aim at my eye.
Okay, from this point onwards, I'm going to be talking about things that I didn't hate too much in this movie, and maybe showing a few clips and stuff. So stuff that might ruin a first-time watch for you. So consider this your spoiler alert, and if you don't want to see those, then just find the timestamp to the outro. Skip ahead to that and I will see you at the end to say bye. But otherwise, stick around, gunslingers, because I've got a few more reasons for you to watch The Dark Tower coming right up. Right, so this is the point where I normally try and make some comparison between the books and the movie. But honestly, I'm not going to bother here because they forgot the face of their father. Absolutely. Sure, there are elements of The Gunslinger and The Wastelands in this. But really, like, Wikipedia sums it up best. Wikipedia sums it up best when it says that this movie is loosely based on the Dark Tower books. Spot on. One of my biggest gripes is how this movie just completely ties itself in knots tonally. So when we get Jake and Roland go back to New York, they try to turn it into this fish out of water, unlikely odd couple buddy comedy type thing for about half an hour. Only it's not funny. And then they try and get back on the path of the beam, but they've just completely ruined it by that point. And it's just so confused. Like, what are you trying to be? Okay, let me try and find a few things that I didn't hate too much. The shots of Roland reloading his guns, they were always pretty cool, if a little bit silly. Now, somebody trolling Jake on message board when he posts that picture from his dream and says, I need to find where this is. And somebody just says, he's like, where is it? And somebody replies, up your butt. That genuinely made me laugh out loud. My favourite bit, though, is actually good. It's that incredible no-look shot from Roland to save Jake from being taken away. Like, you've probably seen it because it's in the trailers. It's like the one decent shot of this movie, but it is really good. So when it comes to favourite lines, I mean, there aren't many, but the part where Roland says to Jake, oh, the animals still talk here.
Do the animals here still speak?
That's intriguing, but if you're going to do that and then not give me oi, then I'm not going to be happy about it. However, my favourite line, even though it's terrible dialogue, is this little exchange between Jake and Roland about theme parks.
Yeah, theme parks here.
These ancient structures are from before the world moved on. No one knows what they are.
They're theme parks.
Like Roland's attitude there. I might just adopt that in general life when somebody asks me a question I don't want to answer. Like, oh, that thing you're talking about was some confusing thing from before the world moved on. Nobody knows what it is. Okay then, on to connections to other Stephen King works among the cast and crew and Easter eggs. So there isn't much in terms of connections here, other than Nicholas Hamilton popping up as the bully early on, in the same year that we would see him portray Henry Bowers in It. As for Easter eggs, well, you probably spotted the 19s, you spotted the 1408, you spotted Pennywise's name at the theme park, and there were probably others. But honestly, I just couldn't care, and I stopped really looking for them. I actually have a memory from watching this in theatres of, I'm sure there was like a picture of the Overlook Hotel, or a postcard or something, and a Christine car, and I'm sure somebody turned up at the end with a massive St. Bernard. But I didn't spot them on my rewatch, unless I wasn't paying close enough attention because I was already so bored. Or they've just taken those out for the DVD release. But am I going mad? Does anybody else remember those? Okay, lastly, make no mistake, this movie is not good. Not only does it forget the face of its father says it's going out for cigarettes, gets in a taxi, goes to the airport, gets on a plane, changes his name and starts a new life somewhere else just to be completely as far away from this movie as possible. Even though this film is technically a better made movie and a more entertaining movie than Mercy, I think this one deserves to be bottom of my ranking purely because of the audacity of the people involved in this to put this pile of crap out there and think that constant readers were going to be okay with it. This movie, not just go then, there are other movies than these. Like, go then and get in the fucking sea. Okay, there we go. 19 reasons to watch The Dark Tower. We're finally done. We can move past it. We can move on just like that world has moved on. Are you a fan of this movie? You might be. Let me know. Just whatever you think of this movie. Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. And hey, at least we don't have to talk about The Dark Tower anymore. I mean, maybe Mike Flanagan's one for Amazon will happen at some point. But for now, we've just got to live with this. So maybe we could just pretend like it didn't exist and get on with our lives. Cool. Don't forget to check the description for links to my own collection, to my Stephen King themed band shirts, and the link to become a member of this channel, to become a constant viewer. And, well, come back again soon. In fact, come back again next time, because I can promise we'll be talking about something much, much better, because next time is this month's book special. But until then, long days, pleasant nights, and may you have twice the number and 100 times more than this stupid movie.